The least they could do is have gotten a holder and put a piece of paper in the holder.
Oh, nice to meet you. Okay.
Township of Parsippany Troy Hills, Township Council Agenda Meeting, June 10th, 2014. Meeting called to order by myself at 7:30 p.m. Please rise for the flag salute. Mr. Stanton, if you would.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Karifi.
Here.
Mr. DePiero.
Here.
Mr. Paluso.
Present.
Mr. Stanton.
Here.
Mr. Valori.
Here. Others present, Mayor Barberio, Joseph Kowalczyk, Acting Business Administrator / CFO, Paula Cazzarelli, Assistant Business Administrator, Dean Donatelli, Esquire, filling in for Mr. Inglesino, Township Attorney, and Yancey Wazermis, Township Clerk. Formal action may or may not be taken. Statement of compliance.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Law by filing the notice in the office of the Township Clerk and by posting the meeting notice on the bulletin board at the Municipal Building on December 18, 2013, where it has remained posted since that date. A legal notice appeared in both the Daily Record on December 20, 2013, and the Star Ledger on December 23, 2013, and was forwarded by fax to other local newspapers and local radio stations on December 18, 2013. Note, council meetings are videotaped and aired on Cablevision Public Access Channel 21 at 11 a.m. on Sundays, and are also available for viewing at www.parsippany.net.
Okay, I'd like to make note that Township Attorney John Inglesino is here now. Okay, at this time, we're going to have a presentation, budget presentation by Freeholder Director Tom Mastrolangelo from the Morris County Board of Chosen Freeholders Budget Subcommittee. Yes.
I don't think the mic is on, though.
Booming voice.
May have to just slide that up.
Where you can take it out.
You
Okay,
can take
how's
that
that?
out if you
Oh, I
want.
can?
Yes.
Okay, is this on?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to thank the Township of Parsippany for giving the Board of Chosen Freeholders the opportunity to present and discuss the 2014 county budget. We're pretty proud of this budget this year. It's a budget that represents 2 years of lower taxes, lower debt, and lower spending for the county taxpayers. For the second consecutive year, the county has delivered a 0% tax increase in the county operating taxes after a number of years of, I'd say slight increases, but we've been able to manage the last 2 years at least to deliver a 0% tax. Actually, in 2013, we were able to deliver a 1.8% reduction in taxes due to the cut in the open space. This year, for 2014, we've been able to deliver a 0.5% reduction in the overall tax effort. So, total spending is below the 2012 level. Debt reduction is $8.3 million. We're actually on a $64 million debt reduction plan over the next 5 years, and I'll talk about that later. The key point to this budget is that we're maintaining all the services that the county county residents have come to know and expect. So, you can cut taxes, or deliver a zero, but if you're not delivering the services, you're really not accomplishing much. So with that, we've been able to deliver the services, deliver a flat budget year over year. Now on the next chart, and the public doesn't have the benefit of this, but we do have some copies up here. Since I arrived on the board, notice back in 2011, the property tax change was at $4 million in each year. We've managed to bring that tax change down in the overall overall budget as far as the tax effort. Now, in 2013, we cut 63 employees through attrition and through outsourcing. And the areas that those that those employees have affected the budget has been in Marsview, the library, planning and public works, and the administration. So through attrition, we haven't backfilled those positions. We've had an additional $1 million in various expense reductions in several other areas throughout the budget. And if you recall, going back a few years ago, we outsourced the operations up at Berkshire Valley, which is one of our golf courses. It proved to be a great success. So based on that, we've outsourced the rest of the courses. It's not just the outsourcing aspect, but it actually picked up the revenues, picked up the service, picked up the quality, and it's been a success for the county. So I wanted to point that out to you. Another thing we're happy to see is that revenue was up in the county clerk's office by $1.1 million. We expect to see that continue to rise as long as the housing market does continue to improve. Now, see a pie chart there, without reading it, but, for the public, we've got the two biggest parts of the budget: health and welfare, human services, $86 million; public safety, $81 million; public works is $24 million; parks, education, $39 million; capital debt, $41 million, and the balance is offset by revenue at $10 million. So that pie chart gives you a pretty good indication on the allocation of where the county tax dollars are going as far as the operating budget. Now, the services and the expenditures that this budget for 2014 is carrying is in the areas of public safety. During 2013, which carries into 2014, we're funding a new forensics training for all the municipal police officers in all 39 municipalities. Countywide Sheriff's Response Team, CERT. Courthouse security enhancements, which are under study and will be underway. We're providing shared services, many shared services throughout the county. One of the newest ones is the health services to Morristown. We've had an increase in, we had a reduction in $200,000 for winter operations. No, I'm sorry, we funded an additional $200,000 for winter operations. Now, additionally, we've had some areas that were impacted within the budget. Approximately $2 million of state mandated cost, $859,000 for the county share of psychiatric and disabled care. And a key one here, and I think it's something that every municipality, every governing body is looking at, is the increase in pension costs. With 3% or 63 less employees at the end of 2013, our pension costs went up over $1 million, which equates to 8% per employee. So that's something that we all have to keep an eye on, because that could be runaway for any budget, if you don't manage other costs to offset those increases. Now, another program that this budget does fund is we did 490, almost 500,000 meals to Morris County seniors. And if you're familiar with that program's for seniors who can't leave the house, seniors who can't afford to feed themselves, in many other situations. Some of these seniors do go to senior centers where some of those meals are provided, and it's a way for seniors to socialize maybe once a week. So it's just a good way. It's a good program. If you look at our seniors, they've paid into this tax system for years and years and years, and in their time of need, especially towards the last parts of their lives, it's a good program to continue, and we continue to fund that. As you can see, the level funding for the county college, the VOTEC, just so you know, you see $6.2 million. It's rated in the top 50 of VOTECs throughout the country. So it's something that we're proud of, something that Morris County can be proud of. And, please understand the funding for the VOTEC. It's a very good program. County College of Morris, $11.6 million. We've maintained that funding. We haven't dropped that funding. The college has maintained their tuition rate, which I think is great for the students and for the families. The Park Commission, we fund $13.7 million a year to the Park Commission. And the golf outsourcing has really helped to keep down our cost on that whole golf operation. Actually, because of the improvements up at Berkshire Valley, our rounds are up, our profit is up, if you want to call it profit, and we're really keeping the cost down up there because of Billy Casper, who's the outsourcing company. Further services, once again, the human and social services, once again, the aging, the disability, veteran services that we support out of this county, mental health, substance abuse, and transportation services, our MAPS program. These are other services that we continually fund. Into the areas of public safety, second biggest part of the budget, $81 million. Your sheriff's office, your prosecutor, your correctional facility, Office of Emergency Management, the Training Academy, our Communication Center, which we have 23 or 24 municipalities that participate in that Communication Center, which is a shared service with those municipalities, 23, right there. Office of Health Management, the Juvenile Detention Center, we share that facility with 4 other counties. Medical Examiner's Office, we share with 3 other counties. So the County of Morris is a stellar example, in my opinion, and in many opinions, of providing shared services to not just within the county, but cross county and county to county. Roads and bridges has been a popular topic this year, and you can see some of the funding levels that we've provided for roads and bridges. Several of the freeholders have gone around this county, have visited with several mayors. I visited with Mayor Barbario, and we talked about the roads and we talked about some of the areas that were in need. And if there are other areas, mayor and council, that are in need, we want to hear about it. We actually accelerated some areas of the road schedule that needed paving probably sooner than scheduled, based on the bad winter that we had. So traditionally, on average, the county used to or had repaved 17 miles per year. Last year, we paved 22 miles. This year, our initial funding was for 22 miles, and you see the funding numbers on the report here. We decided to even go further, and we're paving up to 33 miles of road this year. There's 300 miles of road in the county. We funded an additional $4.5 million in addition to the figures that you see on this report. And we listened loud and clear to the citizens of Morris County. We personally, as I mentioned, inspected the roads along with our planning and development with town engineers, and we've really covered the county quite well. And once again, if there are any areas here in Parsippany, we'd love to hear about it, and we'll come out and see you. Okay. If you also noticed, after the winter, well, once spring broke, we purchased new pothole equipment for speeding up the repairs for the potholes. I think historically, we had more potholes this year. Well, we had more potholes this year than we ever had before. So I think this was somewhat historic in regards to the amount of potholes that we had. We purchased that additional equipment. We filled those potholes, and actually we're still running around the county filling potholes. And once again, if there aren't any areas here in Parsippany, we want to know about it, and we want to make sure they get taken care of. We had some additional areas that we funded was another $2.5 million for law and public safety initiatives, additional initiatives for education at the VOTEC and at the college, and additional initiatives at the Park Commission and Marsview Healthcare Center. Now, on page 9, you'll see a chart that shows county debt. What we're doing, we're bringing down the amount that we bond on an annual basis, but not ignoring the infrastructure needs of the county. That's for certain. We completed some big projects over the years. The last was the Law and Public Safety Center. We do not see, at least in the short-term future, okay, any additional projects, any big projects that would increase our bonding. So in 2014, we're bonding $23.8 million. If you look at 2010, we were bonding $33 million. So we've brought it down substantially. And what that means, and as you are aware, the more you bond, the more debt you go into, you affect your operating budget, that debt service line item. So we're in the process of bringing that down. If you look at slide number 10, we are on a debt service reduction plan. We're looking to reduce debt by 2018, from now till 2018, by $64 million. That equates to about $4.7 million a year in debt service reduction. So as other costs go up, i.e. pensions, we can absorb that a little bit better based on the debt service reduction. Now, this is something that has been near and dear to the county, something that the county has been proud of for years and years and years. Prior freeholder boards before us have always managed to make sure that the county delivered a AAA bond rating because of the strong financial structure of the county. The conservative fiscal policies and limiting spending growth is one of the reasons for that AAA bond rating. We have reasonable contract terms with our union. Long-term health care liabilities, we're managing those as well. And we're basically in a strong financial position. So we just recently received our rating letters from Standard & Poor's and Moody's, and we're in great shape. Morris County's in great shape. Some of the other reasons they've noted why we're in great shape is because of the strong financial policies of the county, the strong workforce that we have here, a diverse workforce, and we have a great diverse county. So we'll continue to manage the financial structure of the county in a positive way. And the other thing they did mention was the long-term financial planning approach that this county takes. I'm a member of the budget committee, and we look at not just the 1 year of planning, but we look at 2 years and sometimes 3 years out. So from a staffing perspective, we haven't laid anybody off. We have any employees have been reduced through attrition, but we're taking a different approach in the budget with staffing. We are starting to look at, matter of fact, we are looking at actual staffing budgeting versus positions that are budgeted or built into the budget but not filled. So we're starting to reduce that part of the budget, eliminating some of those dollars, keeping flexibility within the budget, but looking at actual staffing requirements for each and every department. Now, some of the risks to the county budget is the managed Medicare funding, and what type of effect that may have on Morrisview. So we're waiting to hear news from Trenton in that area. If we do have some reductions for that, then we've got to make sure this budget is in a position not only for 2014 but 2015 to absorb any reductions that we get from the state. We had some exposure to solar bond guarantees because of some situations with Solar 1 and Solar 2, and we think that's under control. The salary cap that was going to renew in April. We're waiting for that to be finalized. I'm sure that's gonna carry over. I'm confident in that, but that's something we want to make sure continues. And the health benefit contribution that expired May 15th, and that's an area that I'm sure is going to be addressed down in Trenton. Once again, the continued pension costs due to legislation inaction in certain areas and arbitration rulings. Once again, at the beginning of the presentation, I discussed the impact on the budget this year, 63 less employees, but over $1 million additional in cost for pensions. So we always have to be cognizant of those rising pension costs. Now, we've got some opportunities for the future. We're looking at self-insurance right now. Self-insurance, we believe, can save us a few $1 million potentially with our health care plan. So if we eventually move to a self-insurance, we'll drive down costs there. We are also looking at other areas. We're looking at operational reviews in every area of the county, and we'll be conducting those efficiency studies going into through 2014 and through 2015. And one thing we are hoping for is hopefully the governor's able to pass sick pay reform and civil service reform. I believe it's badly needed. I believe it's something that will help our budgets, and we're hoping that the governor can get that taken care of. So with that, my presentation is over. If you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, fire away. If I don't have the answer, I'll make sure I get back to you.
Tom, just one quick question. Health benefit contribution expires May 15th. What's that exactly mean? Because I work for the county.
Right.
And I'm one of those that are actually involved in paying contributions.
Well, the health benefit contribution is something that all employees do pay. Okay. So the state has looked at health benefit contribution as far as the range of contribution over so many years. So as that continues for you guys, it may continue for us, and it's something that we've got to look at as costs continue to go up. Healthcare cost goes up every year, so that's one of the reasons why we're looking at self-insurance, because we believe we can drive that cost down. We're also looking at some other plans. We're looking at a prescription carve-out plan, perhaps, which we believe could drive down the cost per employee. The average carve-out contribution per employee could be reduced by $600 to $700 a year. So that could be a benefit if we implement the plan like that, and it's something that we're looking at. So.
Okay, but since it expired May 15th, how does that affect? I mean, a new hiree for the county, is he involved since it expired?
A new what?
A new hiree, someone you just get hired for the county.
Well, there's no lifetime benefits for any new employee.
No, I'm talking on the health benefit contribution, since it expired May 15th. if
I
a
think
person-
I think what he's saying, it rolls
Yeah,
in.
I'm trying to
you-
understand your
Yeah.
You
question.
can explain, it rolls
What
into year
that,
4.
what would happen, Brian, is you would start automatically at year 4.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, right.
That's where it's
All
going to
right.
Well, I
plateau
knew
at.
that for new, but
Right.
since it expired May 15th.
Right. Everybody's going to go to year 4 on
Right.
July 1st, is how it's carved. And then after that point, it's going to be up to the,
Legislature.
Okay.
Right.
yeah.
So it's really what comes out of it. Right. Question? Concerns? Potholes?
Very thorough. Appreciate your.
No, I just have one question.
Sure.
Maybe it's a silly one. I should know by now. I get confused sometimes which roads are county roads, and which roads are town roads. When people complain about some pothole, I'm saying, geez, is that a county road or is that a town road?
We can give you.
There should be there's a list,
There
right?
is a list, and I think we're going to make them all county roads this year. Sorry, Tom.
Good idea.
That was pretty good, yeah. Well, usually on a county roads, it will say, we'll have a county number and we'll see Morris County Road.
I know the routes.
We have a list. Actually, if you guys want me to get that list, I can get a list of all the town roads and county roads.
Yeah, once in a while I get, there's some resident will say, there's a pothole over here, is that yours or is that the county's?
I was driving on
Sometimes I'm
Little
not
today,
sure.
and I was pretty mad at you because I couldn't move. I'm like kidding.
Why? What happened?
Well, they're doing all the repaving.
Oh, we're doing all the
The
repaving.
county road.
Thank you for noticing and sitting in that traffic. Anything else, Mike?
Oh, thank you.
That's it, thanks.
Tom, I just want to say, great job on lower taxes, lower debt, and lower spending for the last 2 years. I commend you and your team on that as well as for yours. One of the questions I had is in regards to paving of roads. To avoid traffic and congestion on our roadways, is there any way you can give us advance notification that we can put out on our website to let people know maybe to avoid those roads?
Sure, that's a great suggestion, Councilman. I will talk to
We have
to
pre-construction
Public Works
meetings
and
with the
to
county,
Planning.
and
Perhaps we can, that may be posted on our website. Because, we've really been, because of our transparency initiative, we've been really posting just about everything on that website, and we're continually, actually, there was a transparency meeting yesterday, and we're actually continually posting more. But if you want to post them on your roads, or you want to link to ours, whatever might work, I will talk to them tomorrow.
we do that already, Tom, with the police department.
Oh, you do?
We have pre-construction meeting we have pre-construction meetings when you do a road with the township, and when, I guess you're doing Cherry Hill Road as well, and then the police department puts out a traffic alert on the webpage, town's webpage, I don't know if it's the town's webpage, but on Twitter, and then the town follows.
Oh, okay.
The more advance notice we have, the better.
How much more notice would you like?
How much notification do you give us right now?
I don't know. You're telling me you need more notification. How much?
Well, at least a month in advance.
Well, how much?
If the residents know a month in advance, they can plan all.
Oh, there is a schedule. We can put the schedule up on a list, or we can just give your town the roads that are being that are scheduled for this year, next year.
Oh, that'd be great.
Then you can post that, and post your alerts from there.
Thank you.
That might be something we could put on our town website.
Oh, that's what I'm
after we
thinking.
get that.
Right.
This way they'll have it for the full year ahead of time.
Right.
So,
Year in advance.
What else? Anything else, gentlemen?
any other
Okay.
questions?
Well, thank you, and thank you,
I'd like to-
Parsippany.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much,
it.
and we look forward to working with the county in the
Okay.
future.
We look forward to working with Parsippany. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
There. Okay, ordinances for second readings, public hearings. Any questions or concerns? No? Okay, status of adopted ordinances. Ordinances 2014 colon 06, 07, and 08, where the adopted date was May 20th, 2014, mayoral action, May 22nd, 2014, and effective date, June 11th, 2014. Excuse me, ordinances 2014 colon 09, colon 11, :09 failed on May 20th, 2014, and :11 failed on May 6th, 2014. Ordinance 2014:16, adopted date June 2nd, 2014, mayoral action June 2nd, 2014, effective date June 22nd, 2014. Discussion, reminders, scheduled meetings, June 17th, 2014 at 7:30 PM, regular meeting. July 8th, 2014 at 7:30 PM, agenda meeting. Minutes for approval, none. Administration. Bids taken. Any questions or concerns? Those?
Well, these bids were taken. Is there any recommendation to approve them, or?
Yes, that'll be next week.
So you'll have a report next week on which ones you're recommending?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, quotations, proposals, qualifications, received, requested, none. Any questions on ordinances? Resolutions, questions or concerns? Okay, see none. Non-consent agenda item. We'll be having a public hearing on that on June 17th at our regular meeting. Okay, township office reports. Engineering, Mr. Stan?
Status of road resurfacing, put in stone area. Developer installed the water main, sanitary sewer line. Portion put in stone road. Township accepted ownership, sanitary main at their November 12, 2013 council meeting. Installation of sanitary laterals has been completed. Paving on the road should take place within the next month. No council action required.
Okay. Chief Financial Officer?
Yes, next meeting, we should be adopting the 2014 budget. It's already been reviewed by myself and our auditor, Ray Sarinelli. We went through, did the due diligence. It was delivered down to the Division of Local Government Services 2 Mondays ago. I'm actually going to be down in Trenton on Monday, so I'm going to discuss with the division, make sure we have their full sign-off, so we should be good to go.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Attorney?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Council President. I wanted to address an Oprah issue because there was a false headline in Parsippany Focus, and the headline read, "Parsippany breaks Oprah law request." It was in the posted on June 6th. As I understand it, Parsippany Focus is a website that purports to be a news source. There was some concern expressed regarding Parsippany breaking the Oprah law. First of all, that is not true. The Oprah law was not broken. The headline was not true, and the author of the headline expressed his opinion that the headline was not true. And I think that, by looking at this matter, it can also be educational for the public in terms of Oprah requests going forward in the future. In this particular instance, and assuming that the facts that are set forth in this article are true, there was a request made for 2013 W-2 forms on Tuesday, June 3rd at about 2:09 p.m. And that request was made by Mr. Cahill, and he seems to be under the impression or that he was entitled to immediate access of those W-2s, because under the Oprah law, although the township generally has 7 days to respond to requests for public information, there is by statute certain instances in which certain information must be made readily available on an immediate basis. And those pieces of information are specifically set forth in the statute, and they include budgets, bills, vouchers, contracts, including collective negotiated agreements, individual employment contracts, public employee salary, and overtime information. Now, W-2s are specifically not included as information that is readily available. And the reason why I indicated that Mr. Cahill knew or knows that his headline, Parsippany Breaks Oprah Law request, is untrue is because he himself sent an email on Wednesday, June 4th at 5:42 to the township clerk, in which he cited the statute I just indicated and said, Kara and I, the I would be Mr. Cahill, weren't sure that W-2s are covered under this statute. So he clearly, at least in his mind, had a question as to whether or not W-2s were covered or not, and yet he's filed a complaint with the Government Records Council against the township and has stated a headline that Parsippany breaks Oprah law. The W-2s, just for anybody who may want W-2s in the future, should know will not be made readily or immediately available. They would be subject to the 7-day rule for two reasons. Number one, the W-2s contain personal identifying information. The older W-2s contain Social Security numbers, and the newer W-2s contain employer identification numbers, which are deemed to be personal identifying information. Secondly, there is health insurance related information contained on W-2s, which must be excluded, otherwise the township would arguably be in violation of the HIPAA laws. So those W-2s needed to be reviewed, they needed to be redacted, the redactions needed to be viewed in order to comply with applicable law, and the township, I would say parenthetically, has released those W-2s redacted well within the 7 days. There really is no basis for the complaint. But I did want to make not only the township's position, but I think the fact that the township did not violate the law clear for members of the public who have seen and reacted to this false headline.
Township offices, committees?
Council President, I have two items. Actually, I think that's the right place to bring them up.
Okay.
If you recall, at the last meeting, I talked about two possible resolutions that I felt we should support. One is that Parsippany should oppose the Pilgrim Pipeline, and I think you all received an email, a copy of a resolution that we could adopt. Have you all received that?
No, I didn't.
Do you all have that?
No.
You have not reviewed it. Okay.
We didn't receive it.
No, I didn't receive it.
Never received it.
No.
I thought it was sent to all of you. Anyway, I have a copy,
Okay.
and just as an overview, since I did listen, I'd go to the meeting and listen to it. Okay, this is actually two pipelines. One pipeline is going to be shipping crude oil down to a refinery plant in Linden, and then the second pipeline is going to be shipping the processed stuff back up to Albany. And it would go, and they're talking about following the PSE&G route, which is through Troy Meadows. Now, when PSE&G put their green monsters up, I call them green monsters, everybody knows what I mean, they were very sensitive to the environment. They helicoptered everything in, so they didn't trample on the wetlands and the wildlife and the vegetation. and they try to stay away from the eagles that were nesting somewhere in that area. They're very sensitive to that. But this is the pipeline. This is going to go underground. They're going to be tunneling underground to build this. And this is a sensitive area in New Jersey. And we should fight this, and we should not allow it to happen. And so I strongly recommend we expedite this and put it on as soon as possible. I'll ask that it be emailed. Could you get this email to everybody? Then I'll email my copy to everybody then, so you all have it. But I'd like this
Well,
on.
why don't you give it to the clerk and let her email
Okay.
it out individually? and-
That's okay.
just so there isn't any open public meeting act
Breakdowns, yeah,
issue.
absolutely.
The other item is the JCP&L power line that's going to go through, and their preferred route right now is going to have a serious impact on the residents along the behind the Home Depot, Bed Bath and Beyond, and then all the way down following the PSE&G route. And that also is a disaster to the residents in that area. And there is an alternate route. Now, as I understand it, Montville, the alternate route, by the way, would go across Edwards Road into the wetlands on the other side of Edwards Road and continue on through Parsippany and Montville through the wetlands and not impact on any of the homes. By the way, in Montville, there are no residential homes involved. All of the property along those wetlands are commercial properties. There's no residents that will be negatively impacted in Montville. There are, 50 or 60 homes in Parsippany that are negatively impacted.
That's on the
If they
alternate
take the
route, Mike?
the alternate route does not impact on any residents in Montville.
But how about in
How about
Parsippany, the alternate route?
Parsippany, the primary route affects 50 or 60 homes.
All right, how about the alternate route?
Three.
I stand corrected on that, Mike.
Three where it crosses Edwards Road that are near where it crosses.
Okay.
Those are the only homes that would be impacted.
There's several streets that are going to be impacted.
They're not impacted. It's going to be.
Larkspur Drive, you have Edwards Road.
I
Sycamore,
know the streets you're
and
talking
Update
about, where you
Complex.
live. I know, it's where you live.
I do.
Okay? And these power lines are not going to be near your property. Their rights of way are not going to be near your property.
We're also
You
gonna
might
be
see them.
disturbing the
You
wetlands
might
on
have,
Troy Meadows.
you might have site pollution.
As you mentioned before, with the pipeline, we're going to be disturbing the wetlands of the Troy Meadows again. So whether it's aerial or whether it's underground, we're disturbing the wetlands, which is a natural habitat that has
Well,
never had an easement on it before.
Well, I disagree with you. I strongly prefer that we go over the wetlands and not impact on all these residents.
Plus, the DEP would decide. I'm almost positive the DEP would decide if it could go through the wetlands.
And respectfully, for those that are not having a full understanding of the impact of the JCP&L lines, myself personally, does not want to impact any neighborhood with the JCP&L lines. Specifically, I don't want to pin neighborhood against neighborhood. If anything, we should be joining in conjunction with Montville to prevent the line from coming in at all. If the line is coming in, if it does impact any residents, it should be underground in those areas that are not in sensitive wildlife areas. So I think we need some further study on this before we actually make a decision.
So the freeholders have passed a resolution supporting our efforts for the alternate route, and I have their resolution. And I have Montville's resolution telling us that they don't want it to go anywhere near them, and they're not concerned about Parsippany residents. So I would still like the township to push for the alternate route. I have asked the mayor, and he is going to be setting up a meeting with Montville to see if we can resolve their issues. They may not understand that this is not going to impact any residential areas at all by taking that alternate route. So,
And Mike, the question I have for you is this, and maybe John can get involved with this. When it comes down to, as much as everybody doesn't want it in their backyard, which I don't blame any of the folks in our town and obviously in Montville, who's going to make that final decision?
That's a great question.
Who will make the final decision on that? Because we could all,
Well, the utility company has eminent domain power.
that's why I want you to,
And to the extent that there are wetlands issues, those, to the mayor's point, become permitting issues that would be decided by the DEP. Certainly, community input is always relevant, but at the end of the day, it's the
DEP?
utility company that decides where they want to go.
Absolutely,
Okay.
and that's understood.
So my point is,
But my point is, Montville passes a resolution opposing the alternate site, so I just felt we should have a resolution supporting the alternate site to counterbalance theirs. So then the PSE&G, JCP&L will then have both resolutions, and they make their decision based on what,
has there been any indication from this organization where they, it comes down to money, where it favors them, where to put it? Because the reality is it's
Oh,
gonna...
going
it's gonna-
through Parsippany is a lot cheaper because they're going along an existing right of way.
Okay, so it's coming down to money.
But they're tearing down the homes that are affected. All trees and all shrubs that are buffering these homes now from Bed Bath and Beyond and Home
Okay.
Depot, okay,
Yeah,
and the shopping center and
Yes.
the parking lots, okay, get taken down.
Really? Okay.
The rights of way for that line, when it's going behind those box stores, okay, actually goes up to almost a screen door in some of these homes, okay? And that completely destroys the quality of life.
So
these
what's
homes.
cheaper for them, meaning...
Well, we don't know.
But
what-
they've stopped. See, we've reached out, the residents have reached out, we've reached out, we said, look what you're doing, to
Absolutely.
these residents.
Yes.
And so they have now looked at, seriously, they're looking at the alternative route, but Montville is giving them a hard time. And they're at a standstill now because of Montville.
Board
If
of
there was
Public-
a-
Board of Public Utilities also has something to say about this.
If there was a,
Yeah.
if there was...
Now, Mr.
if there-
Dulsky, you can, in a
It's
few minutes,
really-
we'll have the
Yeah, we'll
public
let you go,
meeting,
yeah.
you can speak at the public portion.
In regards to the dollars, I don't think it has to do with dollars. I don't think, and I've met with them, either one is gonna cost, or, I think it could be about the same for all I
Okay.
know. But in essence, what they've said, and all I can say is this, that they really don't want, it's hard for Georgia Central Power and Light to really go to the table when they haven't even picked the site yet.
Yeah, that's...
And that's where we're at right now. They haven't even chosen either site.
Wasn't, correct me if I'm mistaken, wasn't there a third option, but then they eliminated it because of the Bed Bath and Beyond was in a location where the
Well,
pole-
yeah,
and that route wouldn't have affected anybody,
Yeah,
any residents whatsoever?
I raised that question to them, and they said, no, that was never true.
No, it wasn't.
They never considered, that was completely following the PSE&G line.
Right.
But it would have, the right-of-way would have been too close to Bed Bath and Beyond, and they didn't have the coverage for the right-of-way, the distance for the right-of-way. But they claim they never looked at that, so I don't know, maybe, I don't know where that
Because I was
story
going to
came
say,
from.
if that was at one time an option, and, if there's any way possible where,
It can't,
it would affect Bed Bath, I'd rather see it affect Bed Bath and Beyond than any of our residents,
I know.
regardless,
They-
whatever route it is.
no, they would need a certain clearance, because it's high voltage, you need a certain clearance for right-of-way. It's a clearance area,
Yeah.
and they didn't have it going that route. So they never considered that route.
Do they have a time frame, Mike, as to when they want to...
Well, we held them up. They actually would want it to start already, but they stopped, and to their credit, they're considering the alternate. They did hear us,
Okay.
and so it's been their decision has been delayed. It's not going to be delayed forever.
So can we delay them even further here?
I don't think so.
Okay.
So should I go through the trouble of trying to combine these two into a resolution that we could look at?
Well, should we do them separately? One is the pipeline and one...
Well, the pipeline you got.
Right,
The
that-
pipeline
that's
is
gonna be separate.
prepared.
Okay.
Okay?
Right. Oh, you're
This
talking
is-
those
This
two.
is JCP&L now.
Yes.
And I have the Montville and the freeholders resolution.
Okay.
And I can combine that, the wording from that into one for us.
And can we get copies of all three of them, so...
All three, I mean, these,
Well, what you have there, two, is that two or three there? Two.
I thought these were distributed to you, but I can make these available to you also.
Mike, in crafting an ordinance, what my concern is that we're not pinning a neighborhood against neighborhood. We already have Larkspur Drive that was devastated by flooding.
I suggest you look at the map and you look at the two sites you're talking about when you're saying pitting a neighborhood against a neighborhood.
Well, you have about, I believe it's about 60 residents that may not be in favor of this, and then you have another 60 or more residents that are not in favor of this either. So when you have one neighborhood of our community that's not in favor versus another, I don't feel being an elected official we should take sides on any particular issue.
I disagree. The
We should work
devastation,
together in order
the
to
devastation
actually
to the
prevent it
residents
happening.
on the primary route, the devastation to the residents is horrible.
But you are adding an additional easement for a right-of-way that was never existing through a wetlands, a sensitive area of Troy Meadows.
Yep, that's true. I prefer that to the devastation to the residents in our town.
Well, you're gonna devastate the residents on one side of the town
Wrong,
versus another.
no, it's not the same
I suggest
devastation.
Mike, you go out to the neighborhoods, you actually speak with people as I have.
The only houses that even come close to that are the houses near Edwards Road where the line would go across Edwards Road over to the wetlands. There's 3 houses. And it would not infringe on those homes or their property. It wouldn't even be on their homes or their property. They would see it, but it would not be on their property. The primary line where they're talking about now is on some of the properties on the way over there. It's a big difference. So I will draft something, I will get it out to you, so you have time to review it. I guess it won't be on the agenda, on it for a vote next week. That should be on, I recommend that that be on,
The
pipeline
we can
be
put the
on.
pipeline on.
yeah.
I think we're all in agreement with that.
And Mike, and I appreciate all your input, is there a possibility that we could also get sort of like a map of where the streets are, where the lines are cutting through?
Yeah,
we
we
have
can
Because, I
get,
mean, I patrolled the town for 25 years.
We
as a
have
police
that,
officer, but
we have that. We
to
could
be
show
fair,
you
everybody,
an aerial view
that'd be nice,
of the proposed line and the alternate line,
just so
yes.
everyone has a
We could do that.
fair shake.
The
on
mayor
this.
can make copies of that and get it to us. Mayor, could you get copies and put it in their mailboxes?
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
This makes it a little easier.
Can we also get a blown-up copy, actually the public can see it, or we can put it on an easel?
I'll talk to the engineer.
Maybe they can
It's
blow a
it's getting
copy.
bigger now. Yeah, okay. You want to write that down?
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, thank you. Okay, communications, correspondence, none. Applications, those are all set, Yancy? Okay, at this time, entertain a motion, to open up the public hearing.
Make a motion.
Motion made by Mr. Paluso, seconded by Mr. Valori. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes. You'll be given 5 minutes. Please come up, sign in, state your name and address for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Ken Dalsky. Let me first thank you very much for taking up the Pilgrim Pipeline. I thought I had sent it to you all via the form on the website, but that's possible. I don't have direct email addresses for the 4 of you. I
If you
do
send it to the
have it for
clerk,
the others.
just send it to the clerk, she will disseminate it.
Yeah, I need a direct email address for you, too. Okay. So thank you very much. I think the Pilgrim Pipeline could be, is a very important issue. I won't go into, I've spoken to you about it before. It's kind of like a sleeper in the sense that you could be there for a number of years, and then all of a sudden you could have a disaster. Plus, the whole Sierra Club and environmental group strategy in New York and New Jersey is to leverage the municipalities, because as I said last time, the municipalities have a lot of control over oil pipelines. You don't have any control over gas lines. That's the federal regulation. But municipalities evidently have a lot more control, zoning, et cetera. And we're trying to get all the municipalities in New York and New Jersey organized to oppose this. This is not something that's been mandated. It's an entrepreneurial venture. It's going to make a few people maybe very rich, and everybody else is going to just take a lot of risk. As far as the JCP&L issue goes, so first of all, the timeframes involved, they were originally going to file the first quarter of this year. We're pretty sure that the reason that they haven't filed yet, and I think they're going to file in July, is because they've gotten so much pressure to look at the alternate route. That was originally kind of we'll put it out there and let people think that there may be a way out of this for them. And they weren't very serious about it. And then when they found out that there was a gas line, they started looking at it more thoroughly. And then when we started building pressure, we have 85 homes in our homeowner group that are pushing for the alternate route, writing them letters, putting out letters, and getting articles written, et cetera. They woke up to the fact that this was really going to be devastating, and they looked much more intently at the alternate route. So they're going to file in, I'd say, within 4 or 5 weeks. That's what I was told. So timeframes for doing other alternatives are really not there. The quote third alternative that they had, I believe they looked at going through the Bed Bath & Beyond gap, if you will, and they couldn't do it. But even so, going down the PSE&G right-of-way would still devastate like 25 homeowners. There's another 3 of us on Winfield Drive that would be hurt very badly because they're going around the shopping center, but that would not be a very good solution. I think when we talk about comparative, relative amounts of pain, and believe me, I agree with you 100%. I wish we didn't have this. I wish nobody had it. The odds of preventing it from ever being built, I think, are slim and none, given that it's been mandated, given that there's a serious power problem in Montville that will benefit from this, and they need it, it's not feasible to, if there was a way to do that, and if I had any idea, believe me, I'd be doing it. When I talk about it, the relative amount of pain, I talk about the number of homes that we're sure are going to have easements. And we see about 28 homes, depending upon which side of the gas line they go on, which is not clear yet, 28 homes on the primary route that would have easements, and some of them would have it actually on their physical, in their yards. 3 homes over in the Larkspur area that I believe would have easements. None of them probably are going to have the power line actually physically on their properties. That's basically what we're talking about here. As far as Montville goes, I looked at the map very carefully. There were no homeowners affected, despite the claims by Mr. Sandham, where he said, yes, a number of people in Parsippany are going to be hurt, but who knows how many in Montville are going to be hurt. Well, we looked at it, and the answer is 0. I know you all got, I think you got the letter that I wrote to both communities. I know I sent it out on the email on your website. So I thank you very much for the Pilgrim Pipeline. Thank you very much for taking up the resolution on the alternate route. I encourage some dialogue, if possible, with Montville to see if we cannot, come to something a little closer than where we are today, and not have 2 communities pitted against each other. Their arguments are very weak, but they're at the table with JCP&L arguing, and I think we ought to at least go back to JCP&L and make sure that they understand where we are on this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So you know, Mr. Dolsky, we reached out to the mayor of Montville, and he's just giving us a time when he can meet with us.
I just wanted to follow up on something. Mr. Dolsky, you're right about easements and right-of-ways. Those 3 properties currently that would be affected on Larkspur Drive, they already have 30-foot easements going through them from the township of Parsippany. So that would create additional hardship for those properties, and they may not be able to sell their homes in the future with an easement taking up the additional square footage of their property. And there could also be an overlay of easements that we would have to consider as well. But one of the concerns, again, is that we do not want to put one community against another, whether it's Montville versus Parsippany, Larkspur versus, let's say, another street within our community like Winfield. We don't want to do that. I specifically do not want to do that. I want to try and find an amicable solution that everybody's happy with this. And, if we are affected by Bed Bath & Beyond, finding that first route that they had where there is an existing easement and following that existing easement, that seemed like a logical solution. Maybe there is something there we could resolve. But the freeholders were in agreement, yes, but the freeholders were also in agreement of putting some of the lines on the ground, which could be a solution as well. I think everything has to be crafted very specifically as to what we want JCP&L to do to protect our homeowners, whether it's on Larkspur, Winfield, or anywhere within our community. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the council, Mr. Mayor, others. My name is Richard Young. I live at 179 Intervale Road in Parsippany. Had the pleasure of appearing before you on several occasions before. I'm here this evening because it was our understanding that there would be consideration this evening for applying for on the part of the township for applying for open space funding for a portion of Lot 29, Block 421 in Waterview. I understand from the agenda that I saw that that will be considered next week, but I'd like to take a few minutes of your time, if I may, and just speak with you about that. As you know, a number of us who live in Parsippany are really quite concerned about that, and we're not limited to those in Parsippany. Adjacent communities also share that concern. The reason I'm here tonight is that since the mayor was kind to indicate that he would support open space funding on October 1st of last year, there's been one meeting of the Waterview ad hoc open space committee, and unfortunately we haven't learned a great deal since then, but apparently certain people have been meeting with R&D development, both because of the litigation that occurred, which is unfortunate, but in any case, I believe they've been meeting with them, and perhaps other discussions of development and further use of the property have come up, and consequently we have some questions I'd like to share with you, members of the council, that these are not questions for you. These are questions for the mayor and for Mr. Inglesino, because we really appreciate what, as members of the council, you accomplished last fall. Mr. Mayor, for 9 months, you've indicated that you couldn't pursue open space funding because R&D litigation was ongoing. The litigation is still ongoing, as I understand it. What's changed?
Mr. why don't you
I tried to explain that
ask
to
your
Mr.
questions, and I'll address them.
Pardon me?
If you can ask all your questions, I'll write them down, and then I can address them each when you're done.
He'll answer them for you once you ask the questions.
That's better.
Okay.
Would you like me to read them off? I'd be glad to.
No, I can certainly address them
But
if
some other folks may be interested. Why is it okay to pursue open space funding now? Let's chat about that one.
Well, he's going to answer them all at the end. Do you want to?
You only get the 5 minutes.
Yeah, I don't want him to use up your 5
See
minutes
how fast
answering
I
your
can read.
questions.
Here we go. On May 22nd, a hearing was held in Morristown regarding the lawsuit. The judge concluded that since the lawsuit had no basis, it was inappropriate to continue. Our understanding, Mr. Inglesino, is that you suggested that it was the result of a disgruntled developer. The conclusion of the hearing indicated that you, Mr. Inglesino, would immediately serve a summary judgment to have the lawsuit dismissed. Why hasn't this happened? Have you discussed the open space funding with RD Realty as a part of their settlement of their lawsuit against the town? If so, are you considering granting them a rezoning of the Waterview property in exchange for reduced retail development? If so, isn't this a violation of your own decision not to rezone Waterview and to permit, and I should say that was the council's decision, and we appreciate that, a apparent violation of the decision not to rezone Waterview and to permit residential retail mix in the POD zone, which isn't allowed under current law and zoning. Number 4, have you ever seen, have you ever seen any evidence that RD Realty still has an ongoing and legitimate contract with the Waterview property owner, Bell Mead, and that RD Realty still has the right to pursue building on the land? If so, what's the evidence? What's the duration of RD Realty's contract with Bell Mead? Or did it expire? If it expired, when did it expire? Do you have any indications that Bell Mead is the seller, or would RD Realty be the seller to the township of Parsippany for the 9.2 acres of Waterview property in exchange for some future right of RD Realty to build on the remaining 17.4 acres? Don't think any of us would want that to happen. When's the last time that the Open Space Committee met? When's the last time that the ad hoc Waterview Open Space Committee met? How many meetings have there been with RD Realty in that period of time? Why haven't you convened the Open Space Committee to discuss the proper ways to apply open space funds in a public forum? Mr. Mayor, why did you create the ad hoc Open Space Committee to advise the Open Space Committee, and yet never called a meeting since the first one, despite our requests?
Mr. Young, do you have a lot, are there a lot more?
There are.
Okay.
It's painful, isn't it?
Yeah, your time's up.
Thank you.
Mr. Inglesino will answer as many as he can for you. And, we'll make sure
Just
that
give me
we
a
get
copy.
answers.
I'll take a copy from you.
Yeah.
Mr. Young, first of all, with regard to the status of the lawsuit, you are correct. Unfortunately, RD Realty did file a lawsuit against the township, and they are seeking to force the township, to compel the township to rezone the property for their purposes. We're in litigation now. There was a case management conference before Judge Weisenbach. I don't think the judge indicated that their case was meritless. I don't think he expressed an opinion with regard to the merits of their case. I certainly expressed an opinion regarding the merits of their case. And the judge has, because there were disputes as to the scope of discovery that were being sought by RD Realty, and because I had argued that I didn't think their case had any merit, the judge suggested that maybe the appropriate way to handle the case would be for the township to file a motion for summary judgment, which is due by June 27th, and we will timely file that motion. That's by court order.
But you're not limited to doing it on June 7th. You could certainly do it immediately.
Well, there's a fair amount of work to be done in putting together a brief, and the reason why the court order reads the way it does is so that there is ample time for the lawyers to put forth their best effort in filing briefs. The response is due by RD Realty, I think, in August, forget the exact dates, and then we'll have an opportunity to reply, and then that motion will be scheduled for public hearing, for hearing, which would be sometime in I presume in September or so. It depends on the judge's calendar. And, the judge may, at that time, if the case hasn't settled and the judge decides on that motion, the judge may rule in our favor, in which case their case is over, they lose, and they can appeal if they want to. Or the judge may use the benefit of arguments on the basis of the merits of the case to narrow or at least define the scope of discovery. Because RD Realty is seeking an enormous amount of discovery that we couldn't possibly provide to them, and the case would never end. So I think the summary judgment motion is both a dispositive motion as to the merits of the case, but may also be used as a way in which the judge will be better equipped in his mind to define the scope of discovery. That's the lawsuit. With respect to your other questions, at the moment, my response to you is that the matter is in litigation, and that it would not be appropriate for me to address your questions directly at this time. That said, I understand that the open space application, which would pertain to this particular property, to the county, which would pertain to this particular property, is sort of inextricably linked with the future of the property, and also relates to the lawsuit and the potential for development or preservation of the property going forward. One of the matters that I will be discussing with the council in closed session tonight is the RD Realty litigation, and I will seek direction from the council as to how much we will be discussing in open session next week regarding the RD Realty matter as it pertains to the application for county open space funding. I don't want to do that, quite frankly, without the opportunity to confer with my client in closed session, and on the basis of that conversation, I imagine there will be more to say next week. So certainly appreciate your interest, appreciate your indulgence, and that's the best I can do for you at this particular time.
As points of fact, can you clarify?
We can't.
I can't follow a question?
Yeah, we can't go back and forth. I'm sorry.
I'm-
Good evening. I'm John Garrison from Mountain Lakes, 78 Intervale Road. Just want to pursue a couple of the responses from Mr. Inglesino. Can you clarify for us what the Parsippany open space budget is? We've been led to believe it's somewhere around $5 million.
That is a matter of public record. I don't want to be
It's about
speak about that.
5.4.
But the application that would be considered by the council next week would be an application to Morris County to apply for open space funds through Morris County. That would be the subject of the resolution next week.
Yeah, I guess what's unclear to me and certainly the group is that due to litigation, there hasn't been much discussion, at least publicly, about this. However, there seems to be a lot of activity going on behind the scenes. RD coming up with alternate proposals that nobody can share any details about. Why is it okay for all of that to happen, but meanwhile there's no transparency to the constituents, to the voters? No open space meetings. We're locked out, but certain other people are conducting conversations.
Well, that is the nature of the litigation process. There is an ongoing litigation which places legal restrictions on certainly my ability to discuss certain matters pertaining to the litigation in open session. So I'm ethically and legally constrained in that regard, as is the governing body.
Yeah, another question about open space funds. We've been told that apparently some other properties may have been earmarked for Parsippany's open space funds, specifically Mount Tabor Golf Course. Is there any truth to the fact that the township may be considering allocating open space funds, specifically one to Mount Tabor Golf Course and two to perhaps renovating the clubhouse there?
Again, I would, that is a matter that I will be discussing tonight in closed session with the governing body. So just not able to discuss it with you at the current time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Katie Reese, 26 Morris Avenue, Mount Tabor. Sure. Short. Katie Reese, 26 Morris Avenue, Mount Tabor. Just curious about what you just said about the country club purchase. I don't understand how that's a legal issue yet. It's still in discussion in Mount Tabor. So, I was going to ask the council what was going on with that. So has something happened I don't know about?
I can tell you that from my perspective, it is a matter of contractual negotiations. And before speaking on the matter publicly, I need the opportunity to confer with my client in executive session. And after that, we may have something to say publicly on the matter.
What information can I find out about that from the town? I have a lot of information from the CMA and I've gone to a couple of meetings about it. I know some of the board member thinks that is completely gone and not happening, so I'm a little concerned that the people I elect to my association board think it's a gone deal. Although
Well-
I know Mike Berger's been here for meetings.
Yeah, difficult for me to address issues related to your association,
Right, but
but
what kind of information can I ask the town for regarding that? In the sense of, you're saying nothing?
well,
or-
again, at the moment, the issue of any potential interest that the township may have in the Mount Tabor Golf Course is a matter that I need to discuss with my client in executive session, because it is a matter of contract negotiations. So I'm just not, at this particular
Just so you
moment.
understand too, that there's 350 homeowners over there, and we are all shareholders in that, so, and I am one of them, so I'm just, it's interesting that you're all going to talk about this in closed session, but yet we're not getting that feedback
Yeah,
as an
there's,
association member.
and I appreciate that. The way the law works is that, generally speaking, the public business is for the public to hear about, and generally, matters of public interest and concern must be discussed in open public session among the
Right.
council members. However, there are exceptions to that. One exception is matters that are currently in litigation. Another exception is matters that are the subject of contract negotiations. And because the Mount
I am
Tabor...
catching that you're saying contract negotiations. I
Yeah,
am-
so...
That's getting to me, but I'm just
So
pushing a little.
I understand, and I appreciate that, and you're very good at it, I might add.
Well, I'm just,
Kudos.
I'm not shy, right, Jamie?
So,
All right,
so I would ask that you would, just respect for the moment the fact that before we comment on that matter, that I need the opportunity to confer with the governing body in executive session, and after that, there may be more to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pat Patacha, 182 Hawkins Avenue. It called Joe, Chief Financial Officer, last week to decipher what was being used in the budget regarding open space and sewer surplus. 190,000 of it is going to the debt for the No Country Club. And every time we talk about this, we hear that Mimi Letts used Noel's surplus money. Well, Mimi Letts hasn't been in office for 9 years now. And we've been replenishing the Noel for the last few years. So I think we're way over that 250,000 that she used 1 year. Okay? These excuses are getting ridiculous. We have a golf course that is not functioning. And then you're considering on buying another golf course? With open space money? Come on. Our open space money has not been used for one thing the Open Space Community Council Committee has on their list. Not one thing. The Open Space Committee hasn't met because there's a feeling that it's not necessary. Well, this is what the people would like to see, an interest. Everything is not as transparent as it should be. Who has Jasmine's car now? Did that go to the new business administrator, or did the new business administrator get a new car? Can anybody answer me that question?
She's most likely going to get the car that Jasmine had prior.
Okay.
I thought about a Mercedes, but I didn't think you would like that.
I don't even like the fact she's getting Jasmine's. So. You know that. We're changing the white-collar salaries now to make them go okay, since we have those people that are paid, overpaid or whatever, overpaid over the ordinance. We're correcting that now. The indoor tennis facility at the community center. A director, a tennis director, and a professional. Is there people really interested in learning how to play tennis at 55 and 65 years of age? Do we really, is there a consensus? Did you ask? Or are you just doing this stuff? I got one more question for the mayor. Well, actually, no, it's not the mayor. I think it's Paula or Joe. Have we had any lawsuits filed against the township regarding any township employees driving? You know, any accidents by the township employees?
I don't think that's something we can speak on the
Yeah.
record, right, John? That would be,
Well, the filing of a lawsuit is a public document. I guess if you want Ms. Patachia to, I mean, that the answer to that question would be appropriately addressed through an Oprah request, because there isn't anything coming to mind, but we don't want to give you incorrect information.
Well, okay. What comes to mind is only because of the accident the mayor had a while ago. But I noticed last week when I was leaving the meeting, there was a new dent in the car. So I'm asking. There's a new dent in the back door.
I don't know, I can't.
When'd you do that one?
Got big hips.
Yeah, we got to worry about our insurance too, okay? I think that's it. But Paul, I'm going to give you, this is the letter that I gave this council on January 14th. I asked for responses. And to date, nobody has responded to that. If you're not going to respond,
I'm going to give this to Yancy and have her make photocopies.
well, you all
for-
got
for
copies. I
everybody.
handed them out to you that night. That's fine. If you don't want to respond, tell me you don't want to respond. Okay? They're legitimate questions. You don't want to respond, just let everybody know you don't want to respond. Okay? But I'm not waiting 6 months to get answers. This is ridiculous. That's not right. And one of them is very important. It was the resolution that you put forth for the reimburse legal fees. That is what that was basically about in the beginning. We reimbursed legal fees to that January 13th meeting because Mr. Stanton was on business from the town. And that is why he got it according to that resolution. So my questions are in regard to that resolution, in regards to things that happened, and I'm just asking for answers. If you don't want to give them to me, just tell me no. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Roy, I thought you went home.
Austin's on League 2 tonight. Roy Messmer, 10 Drumlin Drive. Good evening, everybody. Just a couple, half a dozen things here real quick. Like I say, every night game plan changes when you get up here. But, you know, we always hear from politicians about, well, we use open space money, we use open space money. It makes good political fodder. But, you know, we all know that piece of property is worth a lot of money. And unless the state, the federal government kicks in, it's going to be tough. But there have been precedents set in this town where we have combined our open space money, did some research on this, with other pieces of property. I never hear anybody up here from Mountain Lakes. We had councilmen at the high school, everything else, about them putting in their open space money to buy that piece of property. I don't know what their budget is in Mountain Lakes. It's not much.
Well, it's not that. You make a very good point, and I was going to say something after the meeting. I mean, after the speaker, that, you know, and I'll let you finish,
Yeah.
and I'll make my comment.
Because Brian will cut me off. You know, we got Denville people, I think, were involved over the fall time. So, but that property's worth a lot of money, built out, any way you build it out. A couple other things. Mayor, I really didn't want to bring this up tonight, but I might forget. I don't know if the town board. Last year, probably because of the construction at the high school, if you all remember, the Parsippany Hills High School where we had the fireworks, Littleton School was a mess. And I wrote a memo back last year, and I spent hours down there cleaning that stuff up, and a lot of drinking going on. The only person that responded to me, and I don't expect you guys to respond to me, you're not full-time employees, but just to put you on notice, was Jim Walsh. And Jim Walsh's comment was on July 16th, he was not aware of so much action or attendance at Littleton School. It has been a lot of attendance there in the past, but last year was absolutely absurd. And drinking going on there and everything else. So I just want, everybody, I know the construction is done there now, so it might not be as bad, but drinking has been going on there for years. In regards, it's funny that Papatacci brought up about her memos. Same thing with mine. I mean, the fishing one and stuff like that, if it can be addressed by a department head, not just me, my memos, but anybody that writes. Couple other things. It's gotten lost in the shuffle, I think. What is the status of Ryan's Graham? I don't forget his company's name, the acronym, but what we call it, RFQ, his request for quote. And if I just want to interject this, because time goes by so fast here, really, the administration should sit down with him and renegotiate his contract. Because at $38.50 per employee, we all know that works out to about $250,000 a year. That really should be renegotiated. That's a lot of money to be paying that. I did some research there. Other towns that are self-insured with that type of comparable plan are paying about $18 to $20 per employee. Big difference, guys. Next thing, Joe, you can answer me at the end. You told me that this week you'd have an answer for us on that pay scale ordinance that Jonathan Nelson researched regarding the 2013 employees. Number two, now, whatever I'm up to, more than two. Phil Bowden, would have you ever say his last name? I apologize not having it right. The gentleman that runs the sewer treatment plant, talk about Oprah request. His contract is not in file at the township clerk's office. That's wrong. That should be available. There's a contract you can come in and look at immediately. So we got to get that on file. Regarding the occupancy thing, I had a good meeting today with Justin. We made one slight change to the letter going out. Mayor, if we could catch up with each other, even if it's in a hallway for 2 minutes, I got some suggestions, and to be prepared for I know town hall is going to be inundated with phone calls, and I'm going to be FNC'd a lot. Well, I shouldn't say what it means. And the other thing, last thing I just want to end up with here, Mr. Inglesino, I just want to speak to you after this meeting real quick before you go in closed session, if that's okay.
Before closed session?
Yeah.
You have to wait till after closed session.
But just one thing about the State Division of Taxation.
Unless
As
you
you're
catch me
walking,
on the
I'll
way.
walk. Yeah, that's all. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Oh, I did miss one thing. Council President, you should have opened up the meeting after the freeholder spoke, so the public could ask some questions. Because I just wanted to say, this is good news for him. The county, and you should take your children up there, the county's doing a great job at Greystone with the trails.
Oh, great job.
Yep.
Outstanding.
The pond there at Cottage Place, the pond that's there, all the way up to our Mountain Way trails. It's doing a good job.
Thank you, Roy.
Are we still going to be in such good financial shape, though, when Joe goes back to the county?
We're hoping to be in better shape.
Good evening, Jerry Manning, Rainbow Lakes. I just want to make a comment about Mountain Lakes sticking their nose in our business. We went through this last year. There's a piece of property that we wanted to develop, not we, but there was a developer wanted to develop, happened to be on the Mountain Lakes side of Route 46, Parsippany property. Now this year, Mountain Lakes wants to build a 5-story hotel on our side of 46, and they think that's just fine. Well, I don't. And I don't appreciate Mountain Lakes folks coming here trying to tell us what to do with our tax money. I think they ought to just fold their tent and disappear. Thank you very much.
Frank Cahill, 40 Baldwin Road. I noticed the resolution for Alpha Dog is on the agenda, I guess, for next week. I believe you should form a committee to look at that website. You have links going to pages for domain names that the town doesn't even own. You have one link on that thing for the Women's Club that goes to Parsippany Focus, and there's numerous links that go all over the place that are not township business. So somebody should really research what's going on with that website. Secondly, Mr. Inglesino, I appreciate your comments about the Oprah, but your opinion. I contacted New Jersey Government Records Council, They read the ordinance to me and gave me the code that I was able to cite to Yancey on what their opinion was, and they're the one who recommended me filing the complaint.
Well, first of all, they don't make those recommendations, and secondly, the statute that you cited was correct. Once again, it does not say W-2s, and once again, well, and it doesn't say W-2s. So the information, it was payroll information is also not cited. Salaries are cited.
Salaries, they said, wasn't the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing, and unfortunately, the taxpayers will incur the expense of having to litigate a matter, by the way, in which you've already received the information that you requested, appropriately redacted.
Okay, see no one else come forward, entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion.
Council
Motion made by
President,
Mr.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'll let you close it first.
Motion made by Mr. Valori,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Stanton. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
I recommend that I contact the Township of Mountain Lakes to see if they would be interested in helping us out with Open Space Trust Fund money, since a fair amount of Mountain Lakes individual residents came to the council meetings in objection, which is fine, which is the public process, which is, but, you know, considering that the Township Council of Mountain Lakes did send an objection letter to the roadway of Intervale, I think they have interest, they should have interest in also seeing if they can help us out with Open Space Trust Fund money.
Well, they sent, to the mayor's point, they sent a protest letter, which actually presented us with a very thorny and undetermined legal issue, which required a fair amount of time and attention on our part, and did affect the vote total that was needed. So I guess to amplify the mayor's point is that the action taken by Mountain Lakes did have an impact on the process, both in terms of cost and in terms of changing the number of votes that were required, which from a practical perspective really didn't factor into it, but could have.
Because statement that was made tonight by Mr. Mesmer is absolutely correct. It's going to cost a lot of money. And if that's however we proceed, that's fine. But the fact of the matter is that they wanted to have a stake in it, they should have a complete stake in it.
Okay, at this time, council will be going into closed session. Read a resolution, whereas the Open Publics Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas the Township Council is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, and whereas the Township Council wishes to discuss attorney-client privilege and pending litigation and contract negotiations, and whereas minutes will be kept, and once the matter involving the confidentiality of the above no longer requires confidentiality, the minutes can be made public. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany Troy Hills and the public be excluded from this meeting.
Second.
Motion made by myself, seconded by Mr. Stanton. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Make a motion to reconvene into open session.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Valori. Roll call.
I lost my spot, I'm sorry. Mr. Stanton and Mr. Valori, you said?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Ma'am, on Mount Tabor, I can tell you that the township was approached by the association, and they approached us to initiate discussions on the possibility of the town purchasing a conservation easement. Mount Tabor has decided to cease those discussions, and so there is no plan at the current time to continue with those discussions, so there won't be any conservation easement for the foreseeable future.
Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Make a motion?
Motion made by Mr. Valori,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Stanton. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Mr. Paluso,
Yes.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes.
Mr. Valori.
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.